All right, guys. So today we're going to talk. Nancy's going to take the floor. She's going to explain about the listing, basically tell you good, bad listings, how to write them, what the things she pays attention to. As you know, guys, she's the one who writes all the listings for us. All what we do is we just get the technical keywords, and she will be able to put them in a beautiful way to make sure that really makes sense. So I'm going to let her take the floor, and I'm going to be just like you, a student today.
So first of all, thank you, Saad. And I'm really happy that everybody's here. Because of the technical glitch when Saad did make your listing pop, I would have been commenting at that time. So this is kind of an addendum, and we'll include the link to the sheet because he's covered a lot of it, but this is kind of just what my commentary would have been. So, and let me just say that I'm going to show you some really bad listings. And, you know, I have a lot of respect for anyone whose first language is not English and, you know, who has taken the time to learn. But there's something about when you're a professional, you have to really pay attention to grammar and spelling, and the fact that there are sounds in the English language that sound like other letters in other languages. So if someone is phonetically spelling, that does not look good. And there's already a bad perception of Chinese goods, even though, you know, just about everything that we have is from China. I mean, some really good quality products are from China. But so if you have a bad listing, it goes under that sort of category of cheap Chinese goods. And whether it's fair or not, because as the manufacturer, we make the specs, you know, so, but we have to present our packaging, we have to present anything written as if we were Procter & Gamble, you know, we have to present it as professionals. So I'm going to show you some things, and they're kind of funny actually, but I'm not poking fun at one person. It's I believe these probably came from factories. But let me share my screen if I know how. And there we go. Okay, so I really need everyone to understand that, you know, we can write you an epic poem, or you can write an epic poem or paint the most beautiful verbal picture and of your product. And if it doesn't have, you know, highly relevant keywords, it's not going to help your product sales. No one is going to find it. And it's really important that you, you know, that you're understanding that it doesn't matter how beautiful it is if you don't have the appropriate keywords. There's a, you know, a combination of engagement, which is, you know, when you're just emotionally connecting, and there's a technical piece here. And a lot of times people that aren't doing well have not done the technical piece, or they've been really good at the technical piece, and it's not gonna, their listing, their sales won't convert because they've done such a bad job of engaging. So that's really important. And just for the sake of, if English isn't your first language, I just want to clear up some vocabulary. So copy is the product produced by a copywriter. So that's the written word. Your listing is produced by a copywriter. It can be you, it can be me, whoever writes that listing. And then the person that creates it is a copywriter. And copyright is your rights to the intellectual property, which is your copy. So that's just clearing it up, because it can get very confusing, all of those terms. And if you're writing your own, listing, or any communication, professional communication, Grammarly.com is a really great tool. And there's a paid and a free version. It's not perfect, but the paid version offers advice on tone. So for instance, if you're listing, if the tone is encouraging or positive, or if it's negative and lecturing, it's really good for you to know that. So now we'll move on to the whole technical thing. So if you start with your title, it's really important to understand that you're not just looking for search volume. Saad and I just had this conversation. It's not just about search volume, it's about relevancy. And so in the sheets that you're learning how to create, you're going to find your relevancy and that number. And you're going to take a few of those terms, your most highly relevant, and include them in your title. Saad's already told you this, but I just wanted to touch on it again. If your keyword research shows words that may describe more than one kind of product, search them on Amazon, because sometimes terms will come up in a search that are not really the right product. So, and I can show you what that is. So this is a product. It's a folding commode chair for, it can go by a bedside or it can go over a toilet. And I'm showing you boring products because a lot of people don't pay attention to boring products and they don't make them engaging. But if I were to go to Amazon.com and another search term that comes up is portable toilet. Well, it is a portable toilet, but if you look at this, you'll see that most of what comes up is portable toilets for camping. So you would be wasting money on your PPC if you were using that search term, because it's not relevant. And that's the important thing: relevance, relevance, relevance. So it's really important for you to understand that. So if in doubt, check it, and you can save yourself a lot of money. And here's something kind of important in your listing. When you get to your images, you want to make sure that your images are relevant and in the proper setting. So this one just made me laugh. It was just so funny. So again, I don't know why this product would be outside, okay? And it gets better because they do all of the views outside on a lawn, and now we have someone's feet. Okay, so they're standing on it. I understand you want to make sure that that's you want to make the point that this is a strong product, that it's not going to crack and all of that. But this is not engaging, because it's irrelevant. Everything's irrelevant. And, so just one of those things for you to consider when you're looking at, how to engage people. I don't think showing bare feet, unless the product has something to do with feet, is, gonna matter. So your lifestyle images shouldn't be just like a model standing and holding something. I remember writing a listing for someone and they had really nice pictures, but the model clearly did not cook, because she was standing just holding something sort of hanging in her hand and smiling. And she was standing next to a pizza, which implied that you could cut a pizza with this tool, but the tool did not cut pizza. It was like a dough scraper. So it was, someone had set it up and they didn't even know what the product did. So you have to make sure that your lifestyle images are showing what the product actually does. And in my opinion, this is just my opinion, when you show only hands, I call it a puppet show. It's you know, it's okay to show if you're showing other products, I mean, other, you know, images as well of like, you know, people using the product. But I never like to see just just hands. I like to see smiling faces. I like to see people enjoying the product. So getting to the structure, Saad probably already mentioned this, but you know, putting your benefits in caps with a colon is a way to kind of lead into all of that text. And he mentioned before about using you know, check marks or an emoji, and that's really great. But one thing I see a lot, and I almost made this mistake myself, except Saad told me not to do it. To save space, someone used an emoji with no space before the bullet point, before the word. And I said that to Saad, I'll save space by you know, leaving that space out. And he said, don't do that because that might affect your indexing. So, you know, because it messes up the word. So I will show you. So here's a bullet point, and here's some, you know, here's an emoji, and I think this has too much. I think this has too many words, but it's still a really, you know, it's got this nice little emoji, and they have a space right here, so that helps. It draws your eye in, and then the you know, these words in all caps. It's kind of like a little funnel. It leads you in. When people use these hard brackets, these hard bold brackets here, I think it makes your eye stop. You want to encourage people. You want to encourage flow through your whole listing. And now, okay, this seller ended the sentence with a period. Amazon really doesn't love punctuation. And sometimes you need to use it because you need to break it up for the eye. But the style guides show that you should end a sentence in your bullet points with a semicolon and not have a period at the end here. So if, you know, someone asked me yesterday, how come you never, in the listings you write, how come you never use a period? It's a style guide thing. It's an Amazon thing. I don't think you're going to be de-indexed or anything, but it's just what the style guide said when I learned. So that's what I did. So, and if you just look at this, these are pretty engaging images, and even like that looks nice. And, you know, this is much better than, you know, someone standing on a bedpan in their backyard. Yeah, so because Amazon doesn't want you to use punctuation, I don't use a lot of punctuation. I use it if there's a natural break, then I may avoid using a comma. One thing you don't want to do is in the middle of a phrase, if you want to use a whole phrase for an exact match, don't put a comma in the middle of it, because that's going to break up that phrase and it's not going to be the phrase that you wanted. It makes it two phrases. I will use imperfect grammar if I can fit in a search term, as long as it makes sense. I mean, if it's, you know, coffee cup red, I'm going to put in the back end. I'm not going to put coffee cup red because no one talks like that. You know, you want your listing to be the way people speak. And if you're talking like a robot, you know, that's how it's going to look. One time when I write a listing, I also research competitors. And I remember seeing how people had stuffed these keywords into the bullet points, and then after a period, they just put another keyword. And that's really stuffed. You definitely don't want to stuff. It has to make sense. And it can't be all about specs. This is a thing that people get hung up on. You can find a place to put specs, but you've got to draw people in first. They might be looking for specs, so there are going to be some general ones, but if there's something that is deeply the gauge of the metal, for a metal chair, that doesn't have to be in the bullet points. There just isn't enough real estate there for that. So you can ask questions, but they shouldn't be hypey. Asking, isn't that cute? It's just not, it's not a substantial question. It's not a question that is going to, engage anyone. So if the product is dog boots and, the issues for this, the reason you have these dog boots is hot pavement or salt, during the winter, or bitter cold, streets that will hurt your dog's feet, then saying, doesn't your dog look cute, isn't going to be a good thing. But you can mention that, unlike your competitors, you have attractively styled dog boots that will protect your furry companion and who now loves to go on walkies again, so it's finding a way to, like, for pet owners, sometimes they have their own language, just like, calling your children kiddos, that might be something you use because that's popularly used and it engages moms, so, calling animals, fur babies and, calling walks walkies, it's just something that you can use to engage people. But if you overhype the product, you keep saying it's the best and the greatest and the most, it just sounds amateur, and it's not something substantial that you can just prove. You can do comparisons and show that it's better, but just don't hype. And in some cultures, advertising is more hypey. So, but if you're selling on .com, you need it to be the way people would expect to, to hear the language expressed here. So a great thing to do is have someone you trust read your listing after you've created it. Does it make sense to them? Because you know what you mean, so does it make sense to them? Does it convey what you wish to communicate in an engaging way? I've already said poor grammar and spelling make your product look cheap. And I can't express it enough. There's, I've already said there's just this idea of cheap Chinese goods. And a lot of times factories will put up these, they have someone that's just putting up listings. They're just listing. They're not engaging. They're putting up facts, and culturally, they're different. What they expect to see in a listing is different than we expect to see here. So the intent is to get the product listed, not to have, perfect language. And I'll show you more here. Like I talked about the hard brackets. To me, this just stops the eyes. There are misspellings throughout this whole thing. This, if I were, I start with a concept. So this product looks like a really boring product. But if you look at, why do people buy these? Why would people buy this product? Mom or dad may have fallen in the night because they have urinary urgency. So, they're rushing to get to the bathroom and they fall. And when older people fall, I used to have a senior care agency. So when older people fall, they get horrible bruises on their face, they break their bones, but you don't want to scare them. What you want to do is engage them. So for me to rewrite this listing, my concept would be peace of mind, safety, and that's how you can look at every product. You look at the problem that it solves, and then you look at, where you can take someone with that. so that, you know, I know the person shopping for this is, you know, it could be a son or a daughter, you know, so you're going to mention loved ones, you might say mom or dad, you're going to, and dignity, okay, because this is a time when people lose their dignity. So you are going to, you know, I mean, and what's really strange is nowhere in this listing does it mention the footrest. And this is another thing, when you get to the description, this is the kind of thing that you mentioned, that the footrest has to be in the up position, you know, when someone is gonna, you know, is gonna transfer. And you would put that in special notes down in the description. Note, for safety, you know, make sure that the footrest is in the up position when transferring. Also, these, you know, these brakes, make sure that the brakes are, you know, so these are all things that you would, you know, you would put in a small note in the description. I look here and I see all of this is horrible. This guy, he really solved a problem, but it's, you know, I showed this to my daughter and she said, he looks like he caught a fish. It's just, you know, it's just not, you know, this is not engaging. This is, and what's most important about this is it is not dignified, you know, so, and then I look at this, I mean, this is some good stuff here, you know, but there's no overlay to know what this means. This is also something, well, apparently this also hovers around because it looks like it's flying up over the bed. And, you know, this could have been separated out to show where you can use it. There's a gift wrap toilet in this picture. I have no idea why. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't make sense. You want things, you know, you want everything to make sense. But this good stuff in here, these details, this, not bad, but this could be part of, you know, a video. You know, it could be speeded up, you know, putting it together or adjusting the height or, so there's a lot that you can do. And this without the wheels, you know, it seems like that should be up closer to with the wheels. So it's just, you know, this is just, you really want to tell a story with your images. You want a story that makes sense, and you want it, you know, to be relevant. And yeah, so the other thing that I see frequently that just, it drives me batty, is images and collages and infographics often aren't proofread. So you could have this beautiful image and a really great collage, and someone has misspelled the overlay. Like all of them. I've seen it when where they're all misspelled. So it just, to me, it just takes a little bit to proof, you know. If you have someone doing that for you, you do get the time to proof it, you know. So I think that, you know, when you lack attention to detail, you kind of just, you know, you take away almost from the quality, or at least the perception of quality. I've seen the main keyword misspelled, I can't tell you how many times. And that can't be good for business. You know, you can, I mean, it's good to use misspellings. It's really good to use misspellings, but don't misspell your main keyword. You're going to suffer for sure. So again, getting down to the using an HTML editor to format your description, anything you can't get into the bullet points. It's another chance for you to engage. If there's no room to allow for instructions, there's a field in the back end for directions. That's helpful. I try to do a little, when I start my description, I try to start with a statement that people can relate to. So at ABC Co, we understand your need to protect your precious pets. We are pet owners and animal lovers. Our passion for animal care was what got us started on our pet healthy mission. So it's again, it's like, oh, they're not just selling pet products. They have, they have a desire to do well for animals, and they are, they're concerned about the welfare of animals. So, you want that. Then a mission statement, which is not a tagline. The mission. So it is our mission to create durable pet products to keep your pets safe and healthy. You can Google other words Google synonyms for words to find different ways to say it. Make sure too that throughout your listing that your information is consistent. So I've seen, for instance, and this was packaging that was clearly straight from a supplier. It hadn't been proofread, and it was pretty shocking. So someone said, it said not for children under 3, and then it also said an exciting and stimulating toy for the baby. Well, that's not consistent, so make sure that whatever you're saying, and again, have somebody else read it, if you say something about your product also, this will improve cancer treatment. Well, you better have a study that you can cite, because you're not supposed to make claims. Instead, you can simply say alleviates discomfort and nausea. And again, look for synonyms that, online that help you find other words so that you don't keep saying the same words. It's just really important to balance between specs or clinical descriptions and emotions that drive the need for the product. Don't scare people. Instead of using scare tactics to say, why you need the product, go with pain points and the problem the product solves. So you don't have to worry, you don't have to scare people, alleviate their anxiety and their stress. And, you can do that more in the description where you didn't have room for that, in the bullet points. So please, I beg of you, don't hire a Fiverr gig to write your listing. They're usually not native speakers. And even though they may be great, English, they may be great at conversation. Usually their gig is, their gig listing is full of mistakes. Even if they say they're a master speaker and that they're, passionate about the English language and writing, it tends to be hyped. The listings tend to be hyped, and it's not a good look. So pretty much that's what I have to add. I just had some notes for myself, but Saad may have some things that he wants to.
Actually, very, very, very good stuff. Thank you so much, Nancy. Actually, there's one thing I just want to mention. She mentioned the great point about the search term, the keyword itself, and how to know the relevancy of it. So we have the sheet, but at the same time, you can do it yourself. You go to the search bar and put the keyword, and has to be 70% or more of the results are the product that you're trying to sell. So if anything less than that, that means it's less unlikely to be your product or not your primary keyword. The other thing I would like to add is about there's some keywords that they don't make sense when you add them to your own copy, but they are very important, especially like, for example, you have skin oil or skin cream. You see, sometimes I get people ask me, say, hey, why you put skin oils in your bullet point? But actually, you know why? Because one of the very important keyword for me to index for, because it has specific search volume, and your ranking will be different for skin oil and skin oils. So that's why I see sometimes it doesn't make sense to put skin oils, like stupid thing to put, but as a plural version, it's important to add it, even if it doesn't make sense 100% to your satisfaction. Like when you use Grammarly, you might say, hey, this is a wrong keyword to put there, but you need to know inside of you, this is a technical side of the keyword that you need to target to make sure you rank for it. Okay, so that's gonna happen a lot. So sometimes we write our listings and a guy comes like, yeah, but how did you add that? I was like, first of all, I don't think you know anything about Amazon. Secondly, you need to make sure that you have it so you can rank for it. If you don't want, I can take it off. I know it's wrong. I'm not an idiot that I don't know that you cannot have plurals for oils or creams, but I want to make sure that I have it there because of ranking power. So pay attention to this and do not be like those people, because you're not writing it for only someone to read it. It's for the technical side. So that's very, very important. And actually one of the products that I have is actually, I put oils in it because it has search volume and it actually makes a lot of sales. So I had to add it.
Oils is okay.
But
No,
what?
well, and there's another, like the word lightening or lightning. You know, it can go in the back end, but you know, there's that's a word that they mean two different things. You can sneak some things in. You know, sometimes the wording is just too awkward that it's going to throw everything off. But yeah, you know, what you said makes a lot of sense. And like I said, you know, I'm not gonna, if I have to fit something in, I'm gonna not have perfect grammar. The idea is to get most of it.
You know, so sometimes you're gonna have it. So that's why I just wanted to pay attention to it, you guys, so you know, understand it. And other thing, which is when you write your images, when you have your overlays, when you have your text, understand you source the product, you know the product very well, but the problem is gonna happen when you start writing your text or your copy or you do your images, you gotta take things for granted. Like for example, she showed the brakes. You know there's a brake, but you're not gonna mention because like, hey, for sure they should know it. You need to understand that the buyer is not as educated as you, that you spend 3 months to get the product in. So you need to add all the stuff, the feature of the product there, as if, you know, it's the same way that you were contacting the supplier and asking for specifics. You need to make sure you mention that in your listing. It's really important. And I see a lot of people who does that. Basically, it's like, yeah, for sure it comes with that, man. Yeah, no, not sure. You need to put yourself in the buyer's shoe. The other thing I would like to talk about the HTML. The HTML, I actually would like to give you, an example of how to do it very quickly. So you guys see how I do it. There's actually 2 things I use only to make it really happen. So I would like to share that with you. The other thing, maybe I can share with you also how to create a listing. So for you guys, see the process and what the things that we need to do. I'm not gonna write it or anything, but I'm just telling you where things you need to put in, what things you need to pay attention to. Other thing, there was one thing yesterday, I get a question from a guy. I know it's a side note, but please stay with me. Suppliers from China. It's like, hey, why you say only China? You didn't say anything about other countries like Vietnam or Thailand or whatever countries that we have. Look, I say China the most important just because it's the one easiest for you to launch products. But now, if you have a product that has tariff from the US, go ahead and find it from another country, because 25%, 20% tariff, you will be able to make the difference and find a cheaper product outside Mexico, Thailand, whatever. So I just want to mention that to make sure that if the product has tariff, look for other countries. Do not just think it's China only. For sure, look at other countries are very important. And also for the validation process, do not just go with the sheet. The sheet is not the only thing, because you have the 15-step validation. You need to make sure they go together. So not just you cute to see green, 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 but you're not paying attention to the whole picture, which is I shared with you as the first 15 steps are really important. They come together. Okay, because sometimes it becomes very deceiving to see the green and then, okay, this is it. But the validation is very important, 15 steps. That's why I didn't put it as a first process of validation. So please pay attention to that. The other thing I just learned last week about the keyword gift. Do not put it in the title. So what I did, I actually have the toy brand that I'm building, and actually I have toy in the title. So I took it off because there's people who are getting their listing suspended because of the keyword gift. Like it's the same thing as best, the newest, or stuff like that, that Amazon is against term of service. Do not add them in the title. Add them in the bullet points, a great gift from my mom, dad, whatever you want, but do not have it in the title. So I removed all the keyword gift out of it, and I added to my first bullet point or second or third. First 3 bullet points are the most important. So I just wanted to mention that to you guys so you can be aware. And I just want to sum up a few things that I was thinking about.
Like free. You
Free,
can't.
100%. Yeah, free is not good either.